Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Sit down, sit back, relax. I got a little story to tell you. Ah, yes, it's story time here at Deadwood Garage. So, as most of you probably know, at least the ones who follow me on my socials, link in the description, I got pulled over on Sunday for doing a burnout in the Deadwood. Yeah. If you haven't seen that video yet, here's one view.
What the fuck?
Yep, that's me. Should turn that into a meme. But, so yeah, I get pulled over during the State Street cruise here in Fremont on Sunday. You know, I didn't really think a whole lot of doing the burnout. Years past, cops have turned a blind eye to doing burnouts and little silly stuff like that. There is some city level political drama. A business owner here in town, honestly, I don't even know his name, but I know a lot of people won't even refer to him by his name. They just refer to him by his initials. He caused a big stink last year over the cruise, and evidently the idea of tons of people coming to town to cruise up and down State Street and have a car show is a bad idea to him, being that he owns a business in town that would profit from people coming in. But I digress. Yeah, and last year it got canceled. The whole thing got canceled. And people still went out and cruised last year. But it was made very publicly well known that any shenanigans will be met with full force, you know. And we had a ton of cops in town. I swear every sheriff in our area was here. I'm pretty sure they put every patrol cop in Fremont on duty that day. We even had a whole bunch of state troopers down here. Excuse me. People still went out and cruised. People still went and did burnouts. People got ticketed for burnouts. And yeah, that was it. This year, it came back in an official capacity. Big car show, which unfortunately I didn't make it to I got to the very, very tail end of the car show. But I was able to make the parade and started cruising up and down State Street. Nothing was said, at least not on social media, about no burnouts or, yeah, you know, cops are going to look away like they have in years past. So, yeah, I had the bright idea, like, hey, I haven't really done a burnout in this car yet since I've done the rear suspension and everything. Now, in previous years, the Cadillac would do phenomenal burnouts. With the factory 4-link rear suspension, did wonderful burnouts. It was aided in the fact that, unbeknownst to me at the time, the passenger rear brake was completely not working. The wheel cylinder was bad, it was leaking, and somebody went along the axle tube with a hammer and hammered the brake line shut. Like, almost a foot of brake line was hammered completely flat shut on the axle tube. And the driver's side rear brake wasn't in the best shape. It was adjusted back way far, not by me, just the way it was. which was a little discerning considering that car is like 5,200 pounds, so it's a little over 2.5 tons of car rocketing down the highway with just front brakes. It stopped okay, but that enabled it to do wonderful, wonderful burnouts, which 2 years ago I did a bunch of. Anyway, back to Sunday. I aired the car out and lit the back tires up with no weight on the axle, just got them rolling, and then pop, pop on the rear switches, lifted the car up and shot forward real quick. I would not consider it a good burnout. It was an okay burnout. You guys seen the video? It was an okay burnout. I mean, John Force would not have even bothered to raise an eyebrow at it. Unbeknownst to me, though, there was a cop next lane over behind the GTR. Speaking of the GTR, he gave me some rather amusing Insta360 footage of me getting pulled over. Yep, that's me again. But evidently behind the GTR, there was a cop. And for any of you who drive a bathtub Cadillac in general, whether it be a Coach or even just a bubble body Cadillac, you guys know those side view mirrors are this big and they suck. Compound that with sitting this high off the ground, I can't see shit. I can see movement. That's about it. Yeah, I get pulled over. On the note of getting pulled over, towards the end of the video, I'm going to give you guys some tips that I've learned in all the years of my stupidity getting pulled over that have helped me out. Not that it helped me out Sunday, but yeah, stay tuned for that. So yeah, I get pulled over. Cop was super nice. I was super nice to the cop. Still wrote me a ticket, and I actually have her on video of her explaining the ticket to me and saying that, on the back, here's the number, give this number a call, and they'll tell you what your fee is, you're fine, and away you go.
Driver's license back.
So is this
Citation, it's under drag racing. You have a non-mandatory court date on the 15th at 1 p.m. at the municipal courthouse here in town. There's a number on the back that you can call, and they'll give you the price and everything and how to pay.
Okay.
Alrighty?
So this is your first hearse that you pulled over?
It is my first hearse.
And have you ever seen a hearse do a burnout like that?
I have not.
Okay. I guess it was worth it
It
then.
warranted a citation.
Yeah,
it was so
worth
good.
it. Thank you so much.
Yep, you have
Be
a good
safe.
rest of your day. Be safe.
If you want to contest it, here's your court date, which was like 2 weeks from now, or from then. Like a normal everyday traffic citation. I brushed it off, no big deal. Sucks, but a couple $100 fine, court costs and fine, a couple $100, I'm out the door. It wasn't till later that evening, I get a phone call. Caller ID says, City of Fremont. Answered it, it was that same cop calling me back to say that she had made a mistake and I have to appear in court. And court is Wednesday. Mind you, today is Thursday, so we're a day past court. Yeah. What I'm being charged with was a first-degree misdemeanor. My lighthearted mood kind of dropped out pretty quick right there because that's a pretty severe charge. I mean, it's not a felony, but it's the next closest thing to a felony. You have first-degree misdemeanor was a fifth-degree felony. They're one step apart from each other. Shit, that's not good. Long story short, go to court yesterday, and in between that and going to court, I started doing a little research, and I looked up the actual charge that she gave me, which on the ticket, it actually said drag racing, which I'm like, well, I wasn't drag racing, so I am not worried a bit about this ticket. It was just a simple burnout. I'll go to court, tell the judge, because usually when you plead no contest, they'll ask if there's any mitigating factors to your citation and everything. Did by chance did the cop leave anything out? What's your side of the story, Eric? I've been there before. I've been to court for doing a burnout before, and it was the same thing. It was, I got cited for it. Went in and said, I had a couple of people egging me on the street, so I did a little burnout, and the cop, and the judge is like, okay, $50 fine, $50 court costs, get the fuck out of here, don't let me see you for the next 6 months. Which was kind of what I was expecting until I hear this is a first-degree misdemeanor. Unbeknownst to me, last year, actually October 24th of 2024, a new section of the Ohio Revised Code went into effect. And it is called street racing, which is what I was being charged with. And yeah, I'm gonna put this on the screen for you guys to kind of peruse through as well here. But it talks about what street racing is, racing two vehicles side by side, blah, blah, blah. The burnout. They kind of fill it out, right? Donuts, drifting, wheelie, stunt driving, the street takeover. Okay, so that last street takeover part, that kind of shows you where this is coming from. If you're in the car community, and you've been in the car community for a really long time, you probably hate the street takeover stuff as much as the cops do. I know I don't approve of the street takeover activities one bit. I think it's childish, it's dangerous. People get hurt. Some people have removed themselves from the population during these street takeover activity things. Thankfully, it's not a problem here in little podunk Fremont, Ohio, but the bigger cities, Dayton, Toledo, Cleveland, Columbus, they're starting to see more and more of it happening. And honestly, if they don't put a stop to some of this stuff, I mean, we've got enough knuckleheads running in and around this town with Hellcats or wannabe, Hell kittens. Just the normal Hemi with a cut-off exhaust, it's a Hell kitten. Running through our town all the damn time as it is. But it's a dangerous thing. I completely understand the whole idea of trying to stop these street takeover activities. The blocking of an intersection and guys doing donuts, crowd. I get that. I understand the need to stop that. I completely and totally agree. Giving someone like me and approximately 20 some other people a ticket for this during the State Street Cruise where we were just doing little burnouts, that's always been kind of the thing. Yeah, I don't know. I know there's some officer discretion involved when writing the ticket, but I seriously question if there wasn't some political BS-ery behind the officers being so, you're getting this ticket. Because there was no questions with this female officer. Super nice, super polite, super professional. And she found it quite amusing that it was a hearse. They actually asked her if it was the first hearse she ever pulled over. She's like, yep. I said, have you ever seen a hearse do a burnout like this? She goes, nope, that was pretty darn cool. And she goes, you deserved an award for it, type of thing, So she was having a good banter with me about the whole thing. But she was very insistent that you're getting a ticket, right? Which, granted, I deserved it doing a burnout right in front of the cop like that. But again, I was under the assumption like years past where one time I may or may not have been encouraged by a Fremont cop to do a burnout on a State Street Cruise. Can't say I was, but I'm. Anyway. So yeah, the whole street takeover thing, it's bad, it's dangerous, I get it. What I did does not classify as street takeover anywhere near close. But anyway, back to the ordinance here. No person shall knowingly participate. Yeah, we're not worried about that. Section C, here we go. Whoever violates this section is guilty of street racing, stunt driving, street takeover, is a misdemeanor of the first degree. There we go. If I could talk, I'm reading it right in front of me. I'm sorry. In addition to any other sanctions, points, first degree misdemeanor, jail time. Yeah, that was, the judge mentioned that to me. I'll get to that. Fines, of course, but this, the court shall suspend the offender's driver's license for not less than 30 days or no more than 3 years. This is the big kicker. No judge shall suspend the first 30 days of any suspension. In other words, I've had that before where I've gotten pulled over and, I thought I was going to fight it in court. Of course, you lose. You always lose. But, it was, 6-month license suspension, but I'm going to suspend all 6 months. As long as I don't see you for the next year, here's your fine, here's your court costs, get the fuck out of here. Now, if I get pulled over again the next year, guess what? I'm going to get whatever punishment I had waiting, suspended above me, plus whatever I got pulled over for. They can't do that for the first 30 days. It is a mandatory 30-day suspension. No work privileges, no nothing. 30 days, you should not be behind the wheel of a vehicle. Minimum 30 days. Yeah, and the rest of it's just the legal mumbo jumbo. And also I don't know if I saved this or not, but there's a cute little section that says, this section does not apply to competitive operation of vehicles on public or private property when the political subdivision with jurisdiction of the location, or owner of the property knowingly permits such operation or such operation thereon. I.e., previous years, State Street Cruise. You know what? You guys get 2, maybe 3 hours. Go out and do a couple burnouts. As long as nobody gets hurt, no harm, no foul. That's kind of what they're saying right there. Clearly was not the case last Sunday. Like I said, I got jerked up along with 20 some odd people. I don't know if there's an exact count. I haven't seen it, but it was at least 20 people. There was a fair couple of them in court with me that day. Yeah. So the judge is reading off a lot of this and the potential fines, jail time, suspensions, and he's emphasizing the mandatory suspension if found guilty. The points assessed to your license if found guilty. Like, he kept hammering that if found guilty part home. Oh, and by the way, I should backtrack on this. I'm sorry. I'm not the greatest storyteller. I apologize. My plan walking into court, like any other time I've ever been to an arraignment for traffic, was sit back, keep my mouth shut, and watch and see what mood the judge is in. Last name being Stout, I'm usually in the last group of people to get called up. So, which can work out to my favor, but can also hurt me at the same time, because I get to see what kind of mood the judge is in, but that also allows a whole bunch of idiots to go in front of me and piss the judge off. Then by the time he gets to me, he's just tired of this bullshit and he wants to go back in his chambers and, do whatever judges do when they're in their chambers. I assume read law books, right? Yeah. And he'll just bam, 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 just start throwing books at people and we're done. That was my plan going in. I thought, all right, I'm sure there's going to be a couple people who got the same charge as me. A couple of them are most likely going to plead no contest, which is usually what you plead. Obviously, you'll be found guilty, and it'll be, $100, $150 fine, whatever. No points, no suspension, none of that BS. And you have 6 months or 1 year probation. It's a non-reporting, just be a good boy probation type thing. And get out of here. That's what I was really hoping for. That's my plan. That was my initial plan going in there. I was like, I'm going to plead no contest, take my fine, and go home. And just, okay, not doing more burnouts. When the judge started hammering the if found guilty, because you plead no contest, you're automatically guilty. You're done. You're guilty, right? You're just not admitting guilt. You're admitting truth to the facts of the citation or whatever, but you're just not admitting guilt. It covers you civilly or even legally in any future interactions with that case, but you are admitting to the facts of the case. You're saying, yes, I was doing burnouts, and but I'm not saying I'm guilty. I'm saying, yeah, I did burnouts. Yeah, he basically, without coming out and saying, do not plead no contest to this, because I will have to hammer you. It's more or less what he was saying. So I'm the first one called up. There goes my whole plan out the window, right? He goes through his spiel, said, hammering these points home. He looks at me and goes, how do you plead? I said, not guilty. Was no question. Nope, not guilty. I was like, I am getting an attorney. Because no matter what, an attorney is going to be cheaper than what I'm going to have to, what I would be potentially facing. I lose my license for 30 days with no work privilege. The headache of that alone, I don't even want to fathom right now. I don't even want to think about that headache. While Rachel and I do work at the same place, we don't work the same schedule. You know, I get there at 8 o'clock in the morning. I leave at 5:36 every evening. Some days she goes in at 10. Some days she goes in at noon. Some days she goes in at 1. And she might leave at 6, 8, 9, or 10, depending on what's going on. She does the banquet side of things up there. So if they've got a wedding reception that's going to run till 8, 9 o'clock, if they got a party that's running late, she's there late. So yeah, the 30 days alone would have been a nightmare. And outside of this momentary lapse of reason, I've actually got a pretty darn clean driving record. The past 15 years, I haven't had a ticket. I've been pulled over a few times, but my clean driving record has usually gotten me out of any tickets. The cop's like, Eric, you need to slow down. I don't want to be the guy to ruin your record. So here's your warning. Slow it down. Sir, yes, sir. I carry on. So my insurance is dirt cheap. It helps that I insure a half dozen vehicles, multiple drivers, and blah, blah, blah. But my insurance is dirt cheap. That demographic of mid-40s, male, it's one of the more dangerous groups anyway, because this is when, some guys start having midlife crises and they go buy, overpowered Corvettes that they can't drive. But yeah, my insurance is cheap because I have 0 points on my license and I plan on keeping 0 points on my license. So taking a 6-point hit, no. I pay a couple $1,000s to an attorney over the course of, 7 years that the points stay on your license? Is it 7? I can't remember. I know there's a time period that the insurance looks at, and there's a time period that the DMV looks at. I can't remember what's what, but it's years. So your monthly insurance premium, if you pay by a month, if that goes up $100, $150, $200 a year, $200 a month, because 6 points will fucking hammer your insurance. Okay, that's anywhere from $1,200 to $2,400 in 1 year in just in insurance premiums. So, and like I said, you got 5 to 7 years of that. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So for me to pay $1,000 to a attorney, that's cheap compared to what I'm facing. and not having to deal with the headache and not having a driver's license for a month during haul out. I've got to be at work. But good news on that front. Unbeknownst to me, the wonderful older gentleman that lives behind me, who I've always got along with him and his wife and his wife, him and his wife live in the lower level, and then the upstairs half of the house is his daughter and their daughter's boyfriend. I've always gotten along fabulously with them back there. Good neighbors, damn good neighbors to have. And I'm not just saying that now, but I've 3 years, I haven't had a single complaint with them. And I've always tried to be as nice as possible and like, hey, you know, the grinders or anything are getting too loud. Don't hesitate, come over, yell at me. They've always said I've been a great neighbor. And come to find out, the wonderful old man is an attorney here in town. I was not aware of that. I think in 3 years I've been here, I've met him 3 times. Yeah. He's got a law office 2 blocks up the street. I got out of court, came home, you know, like going, what the hell am I gonna do? Happened to message the daughter that lives upstairs because she was out and about on State Street Cruise. We actually convened by her hair salon. So she knew what was going on. She's like, hey, keep me informed. Let me know what's going on. Okay. Well, I found out why. Because as soon as I told her what was going on, she's like, call my stepdad now. Okay. Oh shit. It all makes sense. So he's helping me out. He's taking the case for me. It's not freebie, but you know, he's going to help me out. Good neighbor discounts. So thank you. I know you won't watch this, but Carly, you might. So many thank yous for the recommendation. And again, thank you guys for being such great neighbors. We won't talk about the other neighbors that are this way, but yeah. Long story short here, what I'm trying to tell you guys is don't be an idiot in Ohio anymore. It's not fun and games anymore. They mean it. If they're willing to suspend your driver's license, get you halfway to a 12-point suspension, and potentially give you jail time for doing a Bernie, yeah, no, they're not playing around anymore. And again, I understand, you know, the reasoning behind it. The whole street takeover thing, that is not cool. Not cool at all. But what we were doing on the cruise was definitely nothing close to a street takeover. But I think there's some small town politics involved in there. I'm not going to get into that. Yeah. I'm not going to get into that. And the other thing. Some tips on getting pulled over. Life lessons in the 30, right? No, yeah. 30 years. I'm 46. So I've been driving for 30 years. It's scary. Anyway, 30 years that I've been on the road. And for roughly half of that time period, I've maintained a CCW license. So my first big tip I can give you if you get pulled over is before you get pulled over, I recommend, depending on what state you live in, looking up your state's CCW guidelines for traffic stop interactions. Whether you have a CCW or not, I'm not going to lie to you, the recommendations in the traffic stop section, follow them. I'm not telling you to kiss a cop's ass, because I would never kiss a cop's ass. Never been a huge fan of law enforcement. I'm not out there, you know, ACAB and all them pigs. I'm not doing that, but I'm not one to just kiss a cop's ass just in hopes of me not getting a ticket. I'd rather have a ticket and my dignity. But there are things that can make the interaction go much smoother that are not hard to do. First and foremost, if a cop lights you up, get the hell off the road as fast as you can, but do it safely, okay? If you're on a back road that doesn't have much of a berm, you know, there's a drop off in a ditch or something, but you know that just up ahead is a pull off, slow down to a reasonable speed, turn your flashers on, acknowledging the cops behind you, and get up to that place where you can pull off safely. The safer that you can put yourself and that law enforcement officer, the better off you guys are going to be. It's more comfortable for him, her. Number 2, shut your vehicle off immediately. If you're a hot rodder like me, you got loud exhaust or potentially loud exhaust, as soon as you get that damn thing in park, shut it off. It's going to do 2 things. 1, the cop's going to feel a little more relaxed because they're not going to have to worry about you taking off on them. The car's off, right? 2, it might help you with getting a loud exhaust ticket. You know, but it's going to help you out a little bit. Number 3, just as long as it's not pouring down rain, roll your windows down, and if it's dark or late evening, turn your interior light on. Okay? That way, as the cop approaches the vehicle, that's one of the most dangerous times for a law enforcement officer when they're engaging a vehicle is when they're the first walk up. They have no clue what they're walking up on. Okay? They don't know if somebody's sitting there with a MAC-10 at their chest, waiting for that cop to break the side of their B-pillar right there, and they're just going to squeeze a couple off. It's happened. It's a constant concern for law enforcement. For me, I take that equation out of the problem for them because when they pull me over, they know I have a gun. They may not know whether I actually have that gun on me or not, but they know I own a firearm and I have a CCW permit. So there's most likely there's already a gun in my car. Whether that puts them at ease or not, at least it takes the question out of the equation. Like, is there a gun in that car or not? Oh, there is. I know there's one in there. So, but by rolling down the windows, turning the interior light on, and then I always place my hands right up here where they can see them. Mind you, keep an eye on which side the cops come up on. In Ohio, the state troopers, if you're out on the highway, they actually approach on the passenger side. So again, dropping the windows, hands up where they can see them, it's going to put them at ease. They are going to know that, okay, the guy's at least complying a little bit. Because from the time the cop turns his lights on you to the time that the cop walks back to the car after the first interaction, that's your window to plead your case. That's your window to wiggle out of a ticket. Once that cop has walked back to the vehicle, you're done. At that point, he has made up his mind whether or not you're getting a ticket. The only thing that might save you from not getting a ticket is by the time he's got your driver's license, he goes back, pulls you up. Oh, hey, this dude hasn't had a ticket in 15 years, 20 years, or ever. I don't want to be the one to ruin him for 8 over on the speed limit. You might get away with a warning then. But other than that, when that cop comes walking back up to your car, he has already made that decision, whether you're getting a ticket or not. So once you get the ticket, just shut your mouth, take your ticket, have a nice day, and go. You're done. The reason I'm saying this is if you think you're going to fight that ticket in any shape or form, whether it be going to court, pleading no contest, and hoping for leniency by the court, or actually taking it to trial and fighting it like I am right now, when the cop writes you a ticket, he has to write a report with that ticket. Okay? That report accompanies your ticket to court. If you are polite, courteous, and professional the entire time through this stop interaction, from start to finish, it will be noted that he was polite, professional, courteous. If you're being a dick to the cop, it will be noted, and it will not help you in court. So if you get the ticket, like I said, it's over. By the time, especially nowadays with these digital tickets, the printed off digitals, the ticket's already back at the station. The ticket's already at the courthouse. By the time he walks back to the car, it's already being printed at the courthouse as well. So there's no arguing with the cop at that point. He's not going to resend that ticket by any means. Just take it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir, I will, sir. Thank you, sir. May I go? Thank you. Drive off. Don't argue with him at that point. Don't turn into a dick at that point, because it will bite you in the butt if you try to any form of fighting it. And last but not least, don't do dumb things. Or don't do dumb things to get caught. And especially don't do burnouts right in front of the local police. It doesn't end well. So anyway, thanks for hanging out. My little story time here. Yes, I know I need to get some more content up. I have a lot going on, a lot planned. I got the English wheel, so I can start rolling out some wheel skirts, get those made. We have the Buick outside. We need to start chopping up and getting the roof off of it and everything like that. Because once I get that roof done in the Deadwood, we can start banging out interior. That's going to be my plan over the winter, is to get all of the interior work done. I think once the roof line is done, that's going to be one of the biggest rusty spots I got to take care of. So at that point, I'm pretty certain I've made up my mind what color I'm going to paint the car. So at that point, I'm going to jam the car with that paint. And then that way I can move forward for the interior. Because if I jam out the car now, then come spring, when the temperatures come back up and we can shoot the whole car, the jams are done, so I can tape everything. I don't have to worry about getting paint in the interior. I don't have to worry about masking off the whole interior and all that crap. Or pulling door seals, because I want to paint and then put new door seals on. And the door seals are going to help hold the headliner. You guys will see when we get to that point. But if I jam the car out here the next couple weeks while we still have some decent temperatures, that's going to help me out over the winter to do all the interior work. And then come spring, we paint it. And then all next year, it's going to be cruising, shows, checking stuff out. And then working on other projects like this truck bed sitting here. I need to get on that now, actually. But anyway, I do have some good videos coming down the line. Unfortunately, it is what we love to refer to as haul out at work. And if you're down in the South, you probably don't know what a haul out is. In the words of the management company that came in to take over the marina I used to work at, who were all owned marinas along the Gulf Coast, they bought us out right about this time. Had a whole bunch of suits coming down to the marina, and they're looking around, and they're just in disbelief of what they're seeing here in October. And one of the suits comes up and asks me, "Why are you guys taking all the boats out of the water?" Because they don't float on ice, dumbass. But again, in fairness, these guys ran marinas down the Gulf Coast, not in northern Ohio. So yeah, it's the mass pulling of all the boats in our harbor. So it's oil change city right now. Then I got to go through these boats, write estimates for winter work, spring work, upgrades, updates, all that good happiness. So pretty much from here to about Thanksgiving, I am 6 days a week at work, and it's anywhere between 8 and 10 or longer hour days. So yeah, not a whole lot's getting done on the car right now. I actually feel bad. I have all this stuff to do. I have the sheet metal, the bead roller, the English wheel to make my side skirts, which is gonna just absolutely change the whole way that car looks. Once those side skirts are on, it's absolutely gonna change the car completely. I've got my windshield frame that I've been dying for, sitting right out there. You got the Sawzall and go grab it. I just don't have time. I came out here tonight to get a few things cleaned up, and I thought I'd make a fun little story time video for you guys. And I will update you guys once I have a resolution to this. Once I'm through the court system and everything's done and over with, I will update all of this for you. But yeah, with that, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening to me rattle on about silly shit. And yeah. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Anyway. Oh, and hey. Isn't that a cool cup? That is such a cool cup, isn't it? Yeah. Down in the description, that very, very first link, Dead Sled brand. Can get you one of those cool cups. Or one of those banners. Or stickers. T-shirts, hats, pins, coffee mugs. You name it. I actually have another cool banner coming from them here shortly that we'll have up in the shop. Go check them out. Support my friends over there. As always, thank you for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.